So we're gonna refund you your $500, and your other is the shares that you've got there.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to,
Well, that's not secondary.
that's not secondary water.
Well, I had bought it to develop my lots because of the secondary one. I thought it was gonna be so good.
Well, those aren't impacts
I
on
don't
the.
quite understand you. Just a minute, Craig.
Well, I
It
think,
has to come before the board, by the way. They say for the refund, I have to bring it and write a letter or something like that.
absolutely, but I think even you said that the original impact fee for the secondary system was $500.
Yes,
Okay, so you paid 8 or 10 of those?
I paid for 9 of them.
Okay, so, and that's what staff's talking about, is to reimburse you that $500 for the secondary system. That'll be something that'll have to come before the board. We'll discuss those issues. Back to Nephi and the overall committee that was put together to discuss the secondary system in Bunkerville. I take my hat off to you, and I don't blame you for being a little bit irritated when you found out that we were considering abandoning the system. I will tell you that the residents got together in Bunkerville. They put together a committee. They went through and assessed all the different options of how we could save the secondary system. These are the users that concluded that, look, this is the best system. They're coming back to us tonight to propose a tiered rate structured system to allow them to, as Nephi said, to be educated to implement this. I personally want to thank all of you for looking at this with an open mind. You didn't have to come back and agree with the recommendation. You did. I think it's something that we can agree to. This is just me as one board member, but I think it was a time well spent. You guys went through all the options, whether it was to use irrigation water to try to implement into a system. And I think we have a solution here that works for everybody, so that we can abandon something that never did work. If we want to go back to the very beginning, which I'm not going to get into tonight, but we didn't analyze it properly. You know, even you said we got a grant. Well, you know, we should have analyzed a lot of things before we started. We didn't. We're here today. The committee recommends what we're going to discuss tonight. I, once again, thank them for it, and I think it's time to make some decisions and move forward and implement the suggestions of the committee and abandon the system. So, anyway.
Okay, so items 6 ask for a motion to abandon the system. Do I see a motion?
I make a motion that we abandon the system based on the committee from Bunkerville's recommendations, and that we direct staff to look into a policy, bring forth a policy concerning the impact fees that were paid.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion second. Call for the vote. All those in favor, raise their. The motion passes. We go to item 7, which is in regards to Bunkerville, and this is to approve the contract. Is this still there?
Sure.
Okay.
So with the abandoning of the Bunkerville secondary system, to maintain the current irrigation system of each individual home, this will, what's being proposed and recommended is to go from their potable meter and be able to connect it from there over to where their secondary system starts, where we have a connection box. Be able to connect those two. I have a little picture of that I'll show. What we're talking about. This is just a home on Chapaway in Bunkerville.
I'm glad it's not my home.
Yeah, I asked the head of the person who owns this property if I could show it. But where the blue line is, which I know is kind of hard to see, that is the potable meter box right in the sidewalk area. And so that blue line is somewhere right around it, goes up to the house. And somewhere along there we'd want to tie in and cross over under their driveway to where there's a green box that is in their grass area. That's where their potable water, or I'm sorry, their secondary water connection is. And that way they could have uninterrupted use for their irrigation system on their property.
Did you ask the owner or the tenant?
So,
The owner? I had in with them, huh?
yeah. So what the we've asked Forest Fin to go and put a bid specs together. So there's a short timeline to be able to get this in place before the summer flowering season for people. And this would also provide the greatest benefit for them to learn to new watering practices to become more efficient and right, and have that dual billing system. So that's kind of the crunch and the timeline to get this done, and that's why we have Forsgren get the bid specs if this was moved forward with. And so the bid specs are more or less ready to go. You can
All we
see
need to do is approve it and you'll.
Forsgren provided an engineer's estimates of what the cost will be. And that came back, and they broke it up in two different detailed construction items. The majority of the lots in Bunkerville don't have curbing or gutter and sidewalk.
What are you trying to say?
Just saying.
He's saying that it's cheaper to do
And
That's-
no screen doors, let me tell you.
Maybe that's my train of thought. But, so the majority of Bunkerville, what it's going to do is it's going to be less cost to be able to switch over, convert their water system. But the ones that do have, or a lot of them also have the secondary box and the potable water box are on the same side of the driveway. So you don't have to dig up concrete or anything like that. So with these two different items, one is for where there's nothing that has to be really dug up other than gravel area, and the other ladder is for if we have to take out a driveway and then pour new concrete, it'll be the whole panel versus cutting a line through there to make it look as it was prior to. And that's where the total cost of $192,861 comes from. Again, that's the engineer's estimate, and both the engineers the high bid per se on that.
They're shaking their head in agreement, so.
So I don't know if Forsgren has anything to add on that process that.
Yeah, I'd just like to, just kind of to make it, clarify it just a little bit, as far as, this would be detail 2. We found the situation on Chapel Way and mostly on Tobler. What I found is the meter potable water is on the one side of the lot, and then the secondary is clear on the other side. So we're having a big impact on those because there was a lot of them where they had a driveway and then up against the property line another concrete way, and so you're taking out a lot of concrete. And so the price that you're seeing there for detail number 2, I am going to be the high on this because I'm figuring that all of these lots are uniform because I'm trying to get this out pretty quick. And so you'll see that the price on that was right around $1,000 a lot. That is taking out the concrete, a whole panel. You know, I talked to a lot of people out there as well as, you know, would you like to have your driveway just saw cut? And all of them said, absolutely not. It'd be a nightmare. They'd like to go back to where a construction joint is, obviously, you know, people. And then you're looking at the landscaping and that. So you do have a high cost on those. But the majority of them, 188, are where you don't have the concrete curb and gutter. You're just putting those in pretty quick. We also are establishing cutoff times. You can't have the water shut off before 10 o'clock and after 3:30 because that's, you know, so it's only when, you know, most people are away from home, the kids are at school, that way to try to lessen the impact of all the people out there, the users. And we did that, so hopefully
And
as you get this...
we don't want to wake them up.
Exactly, exactly.